The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the Sports Guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report. A sunny day here in Southern California. It's the Monday after All-Star Weekend. In studio, not in the Subway Fresh Take hotline. From Saturday Night Live, Celebrity All-Star, and the star of the upcoming Hall Pass on Friday. What did I leave out, Jason Sudeikis?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Nice to be here in your, not your office, but like
Whatever the hell it
office-ish.
is.
Yeah, this is a room in waiting.
You look a tiny bit hungover, just like about 1% hungover. No?
That's just me, buddy.
Oh, that's your general look?
This is me perfect. This is what he's talking about. This is it adds to that mystique, you know.
Let's talk about last night's game first.
Yeah.
Topical.
Okay.
You were there.
I was there. Yeah.
We both had good seats
We
because we
did.
were involved in the Celebrity All-Star game.
Yeah, that's what. Because
basically why I did it.
I couldn't get tickets. I couldn't get in the game or tickets 4 days ago, and then something happened.
Well, we're going to get into this, but a lot of people don't know you actually were a basketball player once upon a time in a good state for basketball, Kansas.
Yeah. No, it was another life ago.
We're going to talk about that. But so the game,
right?
I would argue, and I tweeted this, there were more celebrities and eye candy and just general stuff going on than any sporting event I've ever been to.
Oh, no kidding. That says a lot.
It's a strong statement.
Yeah. There was quite a bit. I mean, between obviously the NBA legends who keep it really obvious, being 6'7" or taller. Then there's a lot of celebs: Nicholson, Beyonce, and Jay-Z.
Biebs.
The Biebs was there.
The Biebs was in the house.
Checking his phone the whole time. Front row seat, and the guy Stevie Wonder in the front row. Do what you will with that.
Three seats away from Donald Sterling.
Yeah. Yeah, who is the owner of the Clippers. Because I was there with Forte, and Forte's a big Clippers fan.
Right.
And there's a lot of guys there that that's where it gets interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like the eye candy or watching the people that you don't know, that don't have an IMDb page or like a player profile. You're kind of like
the heavy hitters.
Who the hell is that dude?
Yeah.
And he's giving high fives. Why is LeBron like kissing the top of his head? Or like what's going on?
You know who he usually is?
No.
Somebody who's very rich.
Yeah. How they got there? It's usually through like pediatrics.
Something, or family money.
I didn't feel a lot
money,
of. I don't feel like a lot of family money out here. Do you? Am I crazy for thinking that? It almost seems like.
Oh, you mean like how it would be like in Texas or something?
Yeah, in Texas, or even back home in Kansas, like in Mission Hills area. It seems like there's a lot of old money. But now,
beautiful woman. Last night.
Yeah.
Trophy wives, girlfriends, escorts,
trophy girlfriends,
celebrities,
trophy wives,
girlfriends,
second wives. It was star and wives studded.
The one that shocked me, and I really, a lot of the times people, especially women, they look different in person. They're usually skinnier.
Yes.
Ciara.
Yeah.
Just basically caused a riot when she walked by. She did this nice walk in front of our section, and everybody was just like, whoa.
Yeah, what does she do now?
I guess she's a singer.
Well, she's definitely a singer. She was on SNL. I think she was with, like, Jay-Z's label or somebody's label. She had that, like, 1-2-step song, I think, was her hit.
I mean, she's listed as a singer, but could easily be a model.
Could easily be a model.
Or really anything she wants to do, I think.
If you can do those two, then acting, really not that much tougher. Yeah, and she was really very conspicuous in dress. Like Daisy Duke shorts and then snakeskin boots that came up above the knee.
It was a pretty hard event to stop traffic at if you're walking around because there was so much going on.
Yeah.
She was the one that when she was walking around, people were just stopping what they were doing and staring at her.
That's true. And then when they threw her up on the Jumbotron, there wasn't a lot of love as far as applause was concerned, but it might have been the muffled sounds of wives hitting their husband's shoulders.
Yeah, I think the guys were afraid to say anything.
Right.
The other one, you mentioned Stevie Wonder sitting courtside.
Yeah. Do you notice that too?
Oh, I noticed.
Yeah.
The best job out of anybody at that game was the guy sitting next to Stevie Wonder telling him what was going on.
Right. Had to be. That's what he was doing, right? He wasn't like keeping him up to.
Well, Stevie seemed like he had like headphones on,
right?
But he also the guy was leaning over and telling him stuff the whole time. But then I was thinking like.
Stevie Ciara's walking across. Oh, good Lord, Stevie.
She's amazing.
What can I tell you?
The thing with if you're Stevie, though, you need to be courtside because that's the best way to hear all the sounds and everybody talking, you have the heightened hearing.
Absolutely.
So, but if he was in, the 20th row, that doesn't do him any good. No, he actually needs to be courtside.
He's hearing the din of people saying, look at Ciara. Right. He'd be up there in the mix and he'd overhear a lot of silly conversations and phone rings and whatnot. No, down there, yeah, he could feel... like Mr. Holland's kid, he could feel like the rebounds of
good analogy.
Like the kid
sitting on the speaker.
Yeah, exactly. The feeling of the bounce of the ball and the squeak of the shoes, the danger when a lot of voices get close to you.
And he was sitting next to Spike Lee, and I was happy for him because he was the only one in the building who hasn't seen any of Spike's last 12 years of movies.
Hey-o.
Anyway, it was a good game. LeBron was trying really, really hard.
At the end,
Kobe was trying to win the MVP.
Yeah.
And trying hard, but he was definitely, when you take 26 shots in 29 minutes, it's a pretty strong statement.
Absolutely.
That you want the MVP.
See, that's different. You actually look at the stats after it's done, and then you ascertain things from that knowledge. All I did was look up there and go, God, yeah, he shot a lot. It just felt like every time he caught it, he was going for it.
I looked up at the 6-minute mark when he was kind of on a hot streak.
Right.
I looked it up, and he had already taken 21 shots. Jeez. There was 18 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
He was jacking it. He was playing well, too. He didn't play well in the fourth quarter, and actually we were sitting there. I think there was 5 minutes left, and the West was way up. Mm-hmm. And Kobe comes back in, and he's got that, because the record was 42 points for an All-Star game. We looked
I didn't
it up.
know that. Yeah.
So he was at 34, so he was close.
Got to go for it, right?
So we were like, this is the best thing that could have ever happened in the East. Kobe's going to be jacking it up every single time. The East knows he's going to be jacking it up.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened, and the East got back in the game.
Sure
and
did.
actually, it seemed like we were headed to overtime. But
I know, that would have been something.
He played hard. Durant played hard.
How many did he end up having?
He had 37 or 39.
Oh, he's pissed today. He's so pissed.
Yeah, he missed. Joe Johnson, it seemed like the East decided, we don't care if we win or lose, but he's not getting that record. They were double teaming him.
He does command that sort of ire in people, doesn't he? Even in just discussion, people are just kind of God, wouldn't you just be scared to be that guy in whatever your circle of life? Because there's one of those guys in every sort of aspect. I'm sure there's a guy like that at some grade school in Kansas, some teacher that everybody's just or just some kid in the class, you're just I don't like him. I don't like that guy. And then everybody else is yeah, me neither. And then you just sort of, and it's not so much that you don't like him because you don't know him as a person. I don't know him as a person at all.
Yeah.
But you just have a thing about him that you want to go after him, or just stop him from getting something he wants.
Yeah, it's true.
And there's
a villainous quality about him, and that's what makes him so polarizing.
Yeah.
Tell the story about when you ran into LeBron this weekend, because I thought that was interesting.
That was okay. So we were at the game, and you were my coach, one of my coaches. But we had.
Unfortunately, I wasn't your head coach because you would have played more.
Big Bill Walton, and I thought he and I don't know if I said this to you, but I'm a big John Wooden fan. I use John Wooden quotes all the time. Me and Michael O'Brien, my office mate, have John Wooden's pyramid of success on the outside of our door, kind of like a joke. I used to teach it when I taught or coach, they call it a improv team in Chicago, because it's how can you argue the tenets of it? It's very, very simple. But we kind of have it on the outside of our door, as I don't know, it's a stupid joke. Anyway, between that and then the guy seems to have is marijuana friendly. I thought
he's on record.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's on record.
That I thought we would be. He'd look at me and go, it's my son. There's one of the Waltons. Yeah,
but no,
it's
the real problem is that he couldn't remember your name
at all,
or anybody's name.
He was calling Jason Alexander George the whole time.
Now,
did you catch that?
Oh, I caught it many times. See. and every time he did it, then I would call Jason, hoping. But I actually think Bill Walton was doing that intentionally.
See, I want to know, because that will just make me that would.
Because he kept saying, "What do you think, George?" But it was he was pretending he was in a Seinfeld episode.
I think he always feels like he's in a Seinfeld episode.
Walton's one of my all-time favorites. I love him for coaching a celebrity game.
Right.
So in the second quarter, he decided he was going to put 2 kids in. Rappaport's 2 kids.
Yeah.
So it was, the tone was set. We're not taking this game seriously.
Yes.
Then a switch went off between him and Magic.
Yeah.
And Magic got mad, I think, that Pippen was playing too many minutes.
Oh, I thought he got mad that we went into a zone.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So got some sort of
which I didn't even think
crossed.
of. Strategically, I was like, I don't care. It just means I have to run less. I was into it. I was thumbs up.
Our entire team was, especially Mitch Richmond, who I don't think had exercised for a couple years. Yeah. He was excited.
He walked away from it, literally. He actually had someone drive him away from the game.
And Mullen had the torn meniscus.
Yeah.
Which he had the giant ice pack on after the game. So everyone was happy to play his own. But Magic, so got a little testy, and then Walton wanted to win. So I was in charge of the minutes.
Right.
Now, Kimmel and I were a little deceived. We thought we were the head coaches. And as we got there, and it was like, Magic and Walton are the coaches. They're like, all right. So I guess I'm Tom Thibodeau today.
Yeah.
So I was controlling the minutes. I wanted to make sure everybody was happy. And Walton had no interest in learning the names of half the people on our team, which I loved because he's Bill Walton. Why would he? He's one of the greatest centers of all time.
Absolutely.
But he remembered
21 for 22. That's what I was saying.
21 for 22. So he had Common's name he could remember.
Yeah.
And Common was
it's a fairly common name.
He benched Common a couple times because he thought Common was dribbling too much. But he just, the minute, he'd put someone in and then he'd forget, he'd take them right out. So I was trying to do my best. But
someone told me, I got a text from someone saying that when Mullen went in for me, which is great, Chris Mullen.
Hey, you can't argue with Chris Mullen coming in for you.
Absolutely, yeah. That's like when Dave Grohl took over my spot in an SNL sketch to play the drums. I was like, all right. I defer.
High five, I'll come out.
I defer. But if it ever happens again. I can't tell you where Walton, like you're saying, didn't remember. Go get the guy in the yellow shoes.
Yeah, you were yellow shoes.
Oh, well, it's because they gave me free shoes. I was like, I didn't bring sneakers for hoop, and I didn't even know I was going to play in this game, much less go.
So he went from putting kids in the second quarter to in the second half. Just Pippen was playing the whole half.
Yeah.
And it got near the end of the third quarter. I was like, Bill, we should give Scotty a blow. He's like, I'm not taking Scotty out. Yeah. He was just like he wanted it. And we had Scotty, Mullen, and/or Richmond, two of those three in at all times.
And Tamika. And then Arnie Duncan, who was basically pro level.
Arnie Duncan was amazing.
Yeah. And Eye of the Tiger too. Joked around. I was joking around with him a little bit before about he was asking me about Joe Biden, and I was asking him actually because he knows him better. Yeah. Meaning at all. And then he just got into it, which was great. I was kind of like, this is what I
got into it too. I got really competitive when I got there. I thought I was going to be a lot looser and more, but I was like, this is the only time I'm ever doing this. I don't want a loss. I want the win. I want my resume.
I did want the win. Had I not played as much and then also lost, that would have been tougher. So back to your initial question.
Oh, the LeBron story.
Well, this is this is a game that I still have, and I was saying this to you last night, like a connection with sort of in my ego, like my brain. You know how you don't know you're older unless you're around mirrors or you have kids. I imagine that helps you recognize it. But I can still think the basketball game and all that stuff much better than I can play it anymore. And so I felt kind of like, oh gosh, I didn't really show up here. I went 0 for 1. I did get to kick out a pass for a 3-pointer to Pippen, which is like a really cool thing when I look at the whole thing overall. But I was like, gosh, and then I had to get out of there. I had to leave quickly, so I couldn't hang out. And so I said, goodbye to yourself and Rappaport and his kids, who were great. And then I'm leaving. And as I'm walking out, in comes LeBron James and his buddy Maverick, who we spent a week with at SNL. And
he hosted.
Yeah, when he hosted, and Maverick was there all the while by his side. And it was so like right when you're feeling kind of like, man, maybe I shouldn't have done this. I'll do this next year and I'll just work out for several months before I can come out here just so I look like I'm okay.
Go on HGH cycles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do the PX90 something. I'll do LeBron sees me and spots me and recognizes me instantly, and I don't expect that to ever happen, much less by someone who has.
But he's happy to see you.
Super happy to see me. Hey man, how you doing? I was like, great to see you, Maverick. What's up? And he's like, I was just like, how you been? Just sort of joking around. Anything new? That's kind of the bit you do when you see someone that's gone through, a ton of stuff, obviously. And then he's like, can't wait to see your movie. And I was like, all right, how about that? And then I realized that there must be Owen and I's goofy faces all over You know, the games, obviously, in the commercials and then the posters.
It's still nice to him to remember.
Super nice. I was extremely flattered, and then I kind of left with a little bit more pep in my step. It's like, okay, so Bill Walton, I'm Yellow Shoes, but to LeBron, you know, maybe I'm Justin Sudeikis, who he doesn't have it quite right.
Sudeikis.
Justin Sudeikis, but like close.
Sounds like
Justin
an erection
Galifianakis.
Dysfunction drug. Sudeikis.
Get Sudeikis.
You've had, how many athletes have hosted that show?
We had in my time there on the writing side, we had Andy Roddick, the single Andy Roddick, so it was a little less exciting.
LeBron, Brady,
Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning.
Is that it, really? I think that's
that might be it. Yeah.
I'm surprised Kobe hasn't wanted to host.
Is it he didn't want to?
I'm surprised.
I don't know.
I bet if he pushed for it, you guys would say yes to that.
Yeah, I mean Jordan hosted.
You say Michael Phelps?
Michael Phelps. Thanks, you. Yeah.
Forgot about the Michael Phelps.
Yeah, me too. A lot.
Caught him at a kind of a brief apex for him.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, right
it was
after
like just he'd blown up beyond.
I think it's so hard for the Olympic athletes. I mean, especially him. He's literally spent half his life underwater where you can't talk, and then he only gets interviewed for 9 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
3 months before, 3 months afterwards. He's not as like he could not be as asked to be as sharp and on it as like Peyton and LeBron. Someone that has to. I mean, especially the NBA guys they have to talk about it after every game and sort of be put on the spot. And
it'd be interesting if you guys had to do that after every show. You had to go in the locker room and get interviewed. Jason, what happened in that Weekend Update sketch?
I don't know. I just lost it. I lost cards. Wally's thumb was hiding one of the words, and he moved it too quick, and I didn't have it. And then I started to break just to sort of keep the audience on my side. And then we do that intentionally.
Couldn't you see how they would just go into that mode of it was a good show, and we got to go back out there and do another good show next week.
So I would do it. I do it all the time to myself. Like, all right. And it happens. Well, I use sports metaphors all the time with Lauren. Like I sort of refer to him as my comedy coach. But I remember during the Dana Carvey episode, it was very, very heavy with Dana, obviously, and why wouldn't it be? He's one of the best ever. But I was in like 2 little things, And, and unlike Bill Walton, Lauren knows my name or at least recognizes my face. And I'm watching them in like the tunnel, basically, like our version of the tunnel, sort of standing there watching. I believe the cold open, maybe the Wayne's World or a sketch after that. I think it might have been Church Chat. And he walks by knowing that I'm light because he pays attention to all that stuff. And he's kind of pats me on the shoulder and he goes, Russell Brand, meaning next week. So he kind of has that you look at it.
It's like a Phil Jackson move.
Absolutely.
We'll get you the ball next week.
Yeah.
Just send some pics.
Yeah, that's all we need, Jace. Yeah. Just go up there, good night, really wave really hard. Give some hugs, and make sure just make people feel welcome.
I think I've asked Seth this on a previous pod, but
then don't ask me.
No, I'm interested.
What a waste. No.
So when you have these hosts, a lot of these times you're catching them during like the greatest 3 weeks of their life.
The greatest week? Oh, you mean like in like the big picture?
Yeah, like they're gonna look back someday and say, "That's when."
Yeah, when things were cooking.
They had their biggest movie they're going to have come out.
Yeah.
Or their breakout movie. Or they just won 8 gold medals.
Yeah.
Or they just won the MVP. Now, it's like, it's pretty interesting.
Or they're about to lose the presidency to Barack Obama. Whatever. So, I mean, it is arguable. It's probably a more notable 3 weeks. And I wonder if it's actually it's probably a little bit bigger than a cycle of 3 weeks. I mean, every now, at least as far as the host,
or maybe I guess
they show up. They show up like Bieber showing up on the show or Zuckerberg, showing up. I mean, here are 2 guys. These 2 guys. No, what do I know? But yeah, we do. That makes sense.
Because I notice that every time I watch when VH1 runs a marathon, so it'll be like, 2003.
Yeah.
And there'll be some actor.
That's when we had like Roddick when he was number 1 in the world, for that time. I don't know how often.
You'd be like, that's 2007. Jeremy Piven. Yeah, he was red hot that year.
Gabourey, Sidibe,
right, last year.
Precious.
Oh, yeah, Precious.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it captures...
They're time capsules.
It's like a pop culture time capsule.
Yeah, and you see that. And have you been to the show? Have you been to AH?
Yeah, I went last year.
Okay, so, on like in the studio when they have all the pictures, Mary Ellen Matthews, the gal that for years and years does photo shoots of the host and the musical guest, you look through those and you're like, oh, look at this, like Roma Downey, or even names that I can't remember.
Roma Downey. Vanderbeek was one of my favorite
Vanderbeek
ones.
is on the wall.
Vanderbeek hosted? Wow.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Dawson's Creek was the biggest thing.
It was the biggest one. I think Luke Perry and Jason Priestley hosted.
Yeah, they was certainly
way back when.
I think like every cast member of Cheers hosted at some point. They.
Oh, wasn't there one? Who was the last one that never got to host, and then finally, I think, or someone
on Cheers, or
maybe John Ratzenberger never got to host.
I don't think he did actually.
One of them, yeah, there was one, and they brought him on for somebody's monologue, and
That's
it was
funny.
like the one. Hold that. Your uncle's George Wendt.
He is, yeah.
I Wikipedia'd you today, which
Good.
is always dangerous because there's always a lot of
I should have loaded it
inaccurate
up last
information.
night.
But
I should
yeah,
have spent last night or just this morning.
Who is he? Is he married to your mom or your brother of your mom?
He's
or
brother of
your
my
dad?
mom. Yeah, there's
Really?
seven Wendt kids. Yeah, she's the oldest and him, and then we got 5 other aunts and uncles.
So, and he was a big Second City guy way back in the day. So that's how you got into this?
Him and his wife. I think that gave me exposure to it. I think I was probably doing it to a certain degree, like, joking around with friends. And, we got a video camera like in 1988 and making a lot of silly short films in the basement. But by that point,
I did the same, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm somehow writing a sports comedy. That's yeah. I have some terrible movies.
Bone structure. That's all because of our bone structure. That's all where our eyes are set. If I had your blues, buddy, though. If I had your blues, who knows where I'd be?
Thanks, man.
I'd be on Grey's Anatomy with those freaking bad boys.
Have you destroyed all those clips?
No, I got them all. They're all tapes. They're like those 8mm tapes that I bought a little converter for, a little thing at B&H Photo, and they're sitting in, I believe, the closet in my apartment. My first the first closet, like the first one you see.
Yeah, I tell you, my best one I ever did was a Christmas film where my stepdad stabbed me to death in the shower.
Yeah, like
it was called Psycho Stepfather, and we actually got him, and he wore a nightgown and a blonde wig, and he stabbed me to death, and we poured ketchup on me. Like that's how deep we went. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, I got to destroy all those. I think.
I don't know. I think that those are.
You should put those on YouTube
somewhere.
We never knew YouTube was coming in 1988.
No,
it was just like, these little tapes, nobody will ever see them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
between that and the thing that Jay Leno always pop on like some video to embarrass people at the beginning of interviews? Doesn't he do that a lot?
Who's Jay Leno?
He's what is he? He's a car collector.
Oh,
yeah.
He's a show.
Yeah.
So you, at what point did you start thinking SNL? Or
oh gosh, well, I mean,
Second City or something. I'm heading that way.
Because we used to go to Chicago all the time for the holiday. I'm from Kansas City, but we'd go up to Chicago. Yeah. And my folks grew up going to see Second City, going to see George, and my mom loves going to theater, and my dad's very accommodating, so he at this point truly loves going to theater and watching TV and whatnot. And he and so like in high school when I was playing basketball, I started doing speech and debate. Oh. And the teacher there. It was like this crazy circumstance. I went to the school that I went to. I transferred. I left the school called Rockhurst High School freshman, sophomore year. I didn't get to play. I think I should have played JV. There may have been some, like, I was not on the upswing of the politics at that school.
You weren't related to the Rushes?
No relation.
Probably heard you.
No relation to the Rushes, and that was Pembroke Hill. But we knew the Rushes. We knew of them.
What a family!
What a good group of kids, and like just nice, good ball players, kept humble, and so then he transferred to this other school. There was a girl there that I liked. Also, they got a new basketball coach. All these sort of things led me to this school. But then the thing that really diverted things was the fact that there was this teacher, this woman, Sally Shipley, who was basically the John Wooden of, they had won 11 or 10 out of the last 11 years the state championship in speech and debate and forensics. They were like this incredible group of people that I had no idea. And it was this woman, Sally Shipley. And Paul Rudd had her as a teacher too. And when I took this class,
was he ahead or behind?
He was ahead of me. Yeah, okay. Yeah. You can't tell. He's a handsome man, but he was way ahead of me. But she took me into this class, and I've told this story before to people. But I took this radio and TV class, and she popped in this video. She's like, you should have fun in this class, Jason. Be as creative as you want. You can do anything here. Like one of those teachers that they're giving you. It's very nice, to care about you that much. And she popped in this video. She goes, stuff like this. And it's, this young guy, running around the same halls that I now, at that point in my life was traveling through and doing fun stuff with this class. Like your Psycho Stepfather, like being a little bit more creative than just standing in front of the thing saying, "Hi, I'm Jason Sudeikis reporting from 6th grade English class." And that guy was Paul Rudd.
Wow.
Yeah. And at that point, I knew who he was because he was in Clueless and he wore a KU hat, and we clocked those things. It's probably why I have a tendency to do the KU thing. It's like
that should be a 6 degrees of Paul Rudd. It seems like.
Yeah. Oh,
it seems like everybody has somehow crossed paths with him
true.
at some point.
That's true. Yeah. Just between me and Joe Buck and John Hamm. And then
it's a pretty weird threesome right there.
It really is, yeah. And he's known
There's a lot
John,
more though than that, though.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Considerably. Also because he's done dramas and comedy, that's a big thing. Like he's made the crossover.
So you started doing the speech thing, and you got the confidence, and it took off.
Yeah, well, I just had a knack for it because again, I was just a smart ass in school and had a lot of funny friends. And then by that point, I was aware of this theater being called that was called Comedy Sports, which was basically. It was like Whose Line Is It Anyway, except done in theater. Like there was a referee, that hosted the show. Like it used a lot of sports metaphors, and it was quite fortuitous that my life between sports and comedy was literally bridged between comedy sports. So then I finished school, and my basketball coach used to make fun of me all the time for doing this artsy fartsy,
You were like Chris Klein in American Pie.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah, and so then I.
But we should mention though that you played on a really good basketball team and made the state championship, made the state playoffs.
We made the state playoffs. Yeah, Shawnee Mission West Vikings. And then I also played on the AAU team. With I was. My freshman sophomore year, I was on the older team from the Rushes. That's how I know those guys.
You missed them by 2. You missed by 2 years being on the legendary AAU team. That was the most corrupt AAU team of all time.
Exactly, but I knew them. I knew I was on the early stages. That I was on the team that was cleanly done. Right.
Tell that story quickly because I know the listeners don't know that one.
Which one?
Just how the specific corrupt team. It had Earl Watson.
Right.
The oldest Rush, who was the best one, who developed the drinking problem, never played, Geron.
Yeah.
But it was like, wasn't it?
Maggetti was on there. They used to.
Corey Maggetti?
Corey Maggetti, yeah. Your buddy last night was telling me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, whatever it was. So they had some rich, was he a billionaire?
Tom Grant
pharmaceutical guy.
Yeah, he something with Children's Mercy Hospital. He was a really nice guy. I just remember him always having an envelope of cash, and we would fly and drive around. And again, we were some of the best players. I got to play with the best players in Kansas City. I wouldn't say I was necessarily one of them. Yeah. I had my moments. I was a fancy passer, and I could shoot all right.
And you were lefty.
And I was lefty.
Guys always forget about the lefties.
They always
you can
do.
always go left. And he's a lefty.
And much like to this day, I get to go to a lot of places because I'm a good time. I like to have a good time. But I was basically the Jim Carrey of, on a living cover.
Good guy to have in the clubhouse.
I was fun. I'd get everybody handshakes and nicknames and and it was a blast. But we had always known that we were the 16 and under, the 13 and under. My brother-in-law was on that team.
Really?
Yeah, and Max sort of falls in the same category as me. He's a good time, really really hard worker, but not as gifted athletically as a lot of those other fellas. And I don't know the specifics of it.
There was cash.
Shell game, which I will
Connor Shell.
I'll now call him Shell Game. Shell Game knows the details of it because he went to that school, Pembroke Hill, where the Rushes went, and Tom Grant's kids
It's definitely
went.
a 30 for 30 follow-up documentary possible.
When he was
the first great corrupt AAU team.
It was incredible, and there was all this. Was it Myron Piggy was a guy's real name, I think, and he was he scalped tickets. I don't even know too many of the details. My father would remember more things because as a kid, you don't know that stuff.
Right.
You're kind of protected from that, and
Except it does seem weird when a 16-year-old is driving a Lamborghini.
That's just Kansas City, man. That's what we do,
Midwest.
With a learner's permit.
And you're a gigantic Jayhawks fan.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about this year's team?
So far, so good.
We're taping this on a Monday. You're playing Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma State tonight.
Yeah, should be all right. After losing to K-State,
you knew that was coming, though.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night. It's
February seems like whoever the home team is going to win in February usually.
Yeah,
it just means more.
And they're also number one, and there's always that stigma when. I guess probably every school feels that way. Like when KU gets number one, it's just a matter of time before they're not. And they only had it for 3 hours, 10 hours, something like that, which was pretty comical.
Where'd you watch the Memphis game a couple years ago?
I didn't get to. I was working for 30 Rock. I was playing Floyd.
Oh, the boyfriend.
Yeah. And we had to shoot exteriors. We were on the Upper West Side, like 86th and Riverside or something like that, like wherever Liz Lemon's apartment is. And I was getting updates from my wife at the time, who was watching in a bar, and then fellas in the crew. That
would have been the greatest sports moment of your life.
I would have watched at the Village Poorhouse, where I go to watch the games. It's a great bar for sports, and then they're very Kansas friendly during the games. And I've seen videos on YouTube of when Chalmers hit that shot.
Yeah.
But I did get to see that by literally we're right outside these apartment buildings, and there's a ground floor apartment. I'm looking through a guy's window.
Like a stalker.
Yeah. If I just rotate my head to the right, he's sitting on the couch below me in his boxers, like drinking a beer. And I'm just watching his flat screen television from a 45-degree angle, and I saw Chalmers hit the shot.
Nice.
And then I saw, we couldn't, and it was crazy. We were working all day. I was like, am I going to be out of here by 8? Yeah, we'll have you out by 8.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine.
And then we had to wait until nighttime, because it was us returning home from a date. So like, it was driving me crazy. And because I'm, I don't know, like usually in movies, they will have like DirecTV in the trailers. They didn't have that at 30 Rock. I think it was probably just because, I was just basically a day player. So why would I have all that stuff hooked up? Maybe Matt Damon does when he does the show, but I certainly wasn't.
Damon would have had some sort of $38,000 television.
Yeah, exactly. Or he probably has
weird
his
satellite
own thing. Maybe I would.
Maybe he just carries it around.
Yeah, I would love for that. I would some technology that folds out. Matt Damon should have that kind of stuff.
So how long does it take? You've impersonated many people.
Not really.
You have.
A fair amount.
A fair amount.
Yeah.
A lot.
Not too well, though, luckily.
What's the process? Look, let's say Lauren says, I need you to do Biden.
Right.
So what happens?
Well, the way that all went down was we played Joe Biden, and Bill played Senator Chris Dodd, in a sketch, Halloween of 2007. And then when the summer of 2008, when August 2008 came about, and Barack named Biden, I get a text from Fred Armisen that said, congrats. And I was like, for what? And he goes, you play Biden. And I go, oh, that's right. That's great. So that's how that's how it came down to me, was Fred reminding me that I played Biden, which might make sense when people see the impression. And so then
So what do? You get clips of the guy? Are you on YouTube studying, or is it just you interpret it your own way?
I interpret it my own way. I'm not as skilled as Fred and Bill.
But isn't that what works? Because it seems like in the history of the show, it's you take pieces of whoever the person is,
and you
twist them into your own thing.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorites of all time was Hartman's Sinatra.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Sinatra really, but it looked like him, and he had the accent, baby.
Yeah.
But it was his own, and that's what made it so funny.
Yeah, I agree. That's and like Farrell, same way, and Fred does it too. Bill does it. People do it on the show, but I don't. I used to see Daryl Hammond, literally have a tape recorder up to his ear, getting the voice down, and he was just eerie that way, I guess the closest to that now is on our cast is like Jay. Jay's very, very gifted at, having his voice sound just like the guy.
Don't sleep on Seth Meyers' Hugh Grant.
Oh, his Hugh was great. He did that in his audition.
His Hugh Grant was fantastic. Yeah. He actually looked like him. Like Absolutely. If Hugh Grant died, it could have been the movie Dave, where he just stepped right in.
That's not a bad idea at all.
Would have been a weird movie, and would have had a hooker scene.
Hugh Grant, though, gonna live forever. That guy.
He does.
Yeah.
Resilient.
No way we're losing Hugh Grant anytime soon. But yeah, so maybe you'll get a tape, or I'll just watch a YouTube clip. But you're just sort of looking for a little part of the person. But I'm always just Joe Biden seems like a real affable guy who. I can't.
Happy.
Yeah, happy and glad that he's only vice president. In my mind, again, having never met him. But I was even sort of saying this to Arnie Duncan and one of the assistants or security. I can't tell. They're all so nice and seem like anything can happen at any point. The Secret Service and assistants with the White House folks, and they're both like, no, it's great. He's super affable. He's a very close talker. He loves sort of slapping backs.
Yeah.
So I just sort of interpret that as just loud and boisterous, not too dissimilar from.
I love him
father.
In the State of the Union.
Yeah.
He's got the three facial expressions he's going to make.
Yeah.
like the serious.
Right.
Yeah, that's Brock's making some great points right now. Like the subtle nod, or then the happy, like lean back kind of. Oh yeah, he's rocking it now. He kills me. I can't stop staring at him. Then the other guy, the new guy.
Boehner. Who's
Boehner.
He has a Boehner. Yeah.
He just went stone faced the whole time.
Yeah.
Never budged. Just was like, I'm not budging.
He'll watch the playback. I bet his second State of the Union he'll be a little more animated.
Well, there's a lot to learn from Biden.
Yeah. Right?
Biden really did some work on some of the moves.
He watches it, and then the other thing they give me fake teeth because I've got little teeth and he's got big old chompers and he's got like that big great smile that you see that you see a lot and that's really about it.
Your SNL, this show's been on my entire life.
Yes, same.
I remember no part of my life that SNL wasn't on.
Right.
And it seems like people fit in little components of the show, like if you look at it from historically.
Okay.
So you're in that. You're basically the Hartman guy. You're the guy who I have a feeling like in the writers' meeting they're like, Jason will do that. Like you could be the news anchor. Mm-hmm. You could be the game show host.
I've done both those.
You could be the infomercial, fast talking guy. Sure. It's basically the Aykroyd. Aykroyd was the first guy who did all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
You're malleable.
I that was a big goal for me when I started doing this stuff. I remember going to Second City and finally getting up there, and then watching shows. When you take classes at Second City or any of those theaters, you can go see shows. And I just went to go see stuff all the time. That was my job. Lived with my grandma on the South Side, and then would just go watch Second City and Improv Olympic shows, people that had been doing it for a while. And the two guys that I really responded to were a fellow named Kevin Dorff and a guy named Scott Adsit. Kevin Dorff for years wrote for Conan, and Adsit is now on 30 Rock. And they were great because Scott specifically, I'll use as an example, was really, really good at playing a bunch of different things. And that's what I sort of thought. That's what I was like, I want to be able to do all these things, not just like characters. And it may detract to a degree. Some would say, if you can do one thing really, really well and just do that, like then you can find stuff. But for me, I just like being able to do, jack of all trades, master of none. Like
the show can't succeed unless there's one guy in the cast like that, because they've had stretches over that 36 years now?
Yeah, 36, yeah.
They don't have that guy.
Yeah.
If you just have, like, I think a good example is the year, I think it was a year or two after Hartman left, and they had all these force of nature, like they had Farley.
Right.
They had Sandler.
Yeah.
I think Chris Rock was still on there.
Right.
Rob Schneider. Mm-hmm. But none of them were the guy that could do, you could fill in the blanks, do all the different stuff, and it was a weirdly not that good of a season for how much talent they had.
Absolutely, no, that's I guess Kevin Nealon was supposed to be that.
But he was doing
an
Update at that point,
right? Yeah. That's a good point.
So they brought in that guy Michael McKean.
Yes, that's right.
Who's super talented, but it didn't quite work. I don't know, he was like too older, or I don't know, it was a different rhythm for him, or
that's
whatever.
It was
a weird season
for I would feel, I guess, for Lorne to do that. I wonder. I'd never asked him about that. Michael McKean, because clearly established with Spinal Tap and Mork and Mindy, like well known, and he hadn't done that since the Martin Short, like that the show hadn't done that since that era. That's really interesting. But that makes sense to me. And then you come in, and then right after that, then Farrell comes in, and then Parnell, and so having Parnell there helped Farrell do celebrate like that tremendous amount of like ridiculously creative soul, him and McKay, and then Chris was certainly that for us in my first couple of years as a writer. Like it was always Parnell. Who
do you think's the best cast member ever?
Golly, I gotta go either.
It's like a basketball.
It absolutely.
Like you're arguing like Jordan versus Russell versus Will.
I would go with Farrell.
I think there's only two possible answers.
Yeah.
It's got to be either Farrell or Hartman.
Yeah. Oh yeah. True. Yeah.
And like, because I had a great argument with somebody about this. Well, first of all, Dana Carvey is now underrated.
Underrated?
Underrated.
Absolutely.
Because his run he had,
and
he really and that was, the show wasn't doing that well when that new cast came in.
He had 93 towards the end of his run, you mean?
Well, I'm talking about
86.
Because they came in like 86, 87.
Yeah,
that was when people thought the show was going to get canceled.
Right.
Well, Harvey came in and just killed it and then Hartman eventually kind of also joined forces with them.
Right.
Harvey had all those characters come out of the gate with.
Yes.
But for me, just when you think of somebody being able to do anything, like for instance, Farrell, Seth and I were emailing once. Mm-hmm. There's that Night of the Roxbury sketch with Jim Carrey.
Yes.
And Seth made a good point. He said, how many times would Farrell be the third funniest person in a sketch?
Yeah.
And in that sketch, he was because Carey and Catan just like...
Yeah.
And Farrell actually was like almost like insignificant compared to the other two guys. It's like shocking to watch.
And yet he was okay with that.
He was fine. Yeah,
that's what I mean. That's why I would put him number one. I think I'd put him Phil Hartman, but just the little time that I've got to spend with Will, the phrases that you hear about him at work was like, commitment and gentleman. And it's like, again, no dissimilar than like the tenets that Roy Williams had for the Jayhawks. Play hard, play smart, play together, be gentlemen. Like those are his 4 rules, and those are the 4 rules that my basketball coach in high school always pushed on us. And like he does that naturally. I have a big picture of him behind me that I forget where I got it from, and had him sign. It was my second episode as a cast member. And I remember a producer thinking I had it behind me because I wanted to be the next Will Ferrell, which wasn't the case. I think you only get one. I don't know what I want to be the next of yet. And his heart was in the right place. Don't be the next
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, why not, right?
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I'm wrong.
Why not? He's not. Don't be the next Robert Blake. That's the guy. There's definitely guys you don't want to be the next of. Yeah, but Charlie Sheen, like, come on, take some heat off him. Spread it around.
Can he host a show?
Why not?
That'd be the biggest rating you've ever got.
It would be great. It would be great.
Because he's not currently working.
No, he's not.
They shut down production.
He doesn't have to memorize anything.
I'm very upset that you guys haven't had a Charlie Sheen sketch yet. I would guess that it's almost too easy, but on the other hand...
Lauren's his godfather. A lot of people don't know that. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I would believe that.
I saw it in your face. But that poster of Will Ferrell's up there because of those things. Like, you always hear what a gentleman he was and how he committed to everything. There's great videos on the server, we call it. It's like the video archive of the sketches that only made to dress, where they're just dying. They're just eating and he's just digging in even more. And it's all the things that you love about him now. People don't know. People don't know until they know.
You just mentioned something that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
That stuff should be online.
Yeah. I don't know why.
The dress rehearsal stuff. Should be.
I agree. I don't know why.
Should be a website.
It's probably protecting something, and we also sometimes that we don't know because a lot of times those dress rehearsal sketches they get cut from the one show. They show up in the Anne Hathaway show. It's sort of.
But if you're talking like stuff from 1988 or 2000 or 1995,
those aren't. You're right.
Should be able to see that stuff.
That's true.
I think SNL could be a much bigger money machine than it is because they should also have some sort of iTunes thing.
Yeah, don't we?
Where I could take any sketch.
Yes.
And compile it into a giant playlist.
Right.
And then burn that into my own personal 2-hour best SNL thing.
Why don't you just get
that seems like that should be a moneymaker.
You should just do this for as many weeks as you're allowed to make it happen. Get your pantsuit off, but then at least, do this.
Your show. It's not
but I'm not savvy.
Tell Lauren. Lauren needs better Yankee tickets.
He does need.
He could move up one more row.
Don't you ever want to pitch, Lauren?
How about the rubber? Would you like seats in the rubber? But I love that dress rehearsal stuff. And also, it sounds like sometimes the sketch will be better in the dress rehearsal than it is in the show, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Occasionally?
A little looser, whatever the case may be. Yeah, we're only doing a sketch 5 times. You read it on Wednesday, you rehearse it a few times on Thursday or Friday, then you do it at the dress rehearsal in front of the audience, and then you do it at the air. So it could have been perfect the first time you did it, and it gets worse. Sometimes it comes up on air, as we like to say, and it's very they're not. It's not. By the nature of the schedule, a well-rehearsed show. And that's very frustrating, I know, to audience members, to people that watch it that are used to, sketch shows that aren't live, that are that's why the digital shorts are so great, is because you literally have the 3 fellas in there arguing over the timing of like a cut, where our director, Don King, actually his real name, is trying to, match it live, and there's like 4 steps that have to go in there, and you're talking about a lot of room for margin for error, and it's tough.
You came in 2006 with I think Hader, Kristen Wiig, and Sandberg, right?
Yeah.
Within the same few months.
I had been redshirted the 2 years before on the writing side. I came in about 3 episodes 3 episodes left of the season before, and then Bill and Andy got hired. And then Kristen came in 5 episodes after us. So, yeah, there's like that little...
It's a good draft class.
It was great.
You didn't really have a Darko out of that.
No, and there were those years, auditioning for the show and then getting hired as a writer. Incredible opportunity. Like you're official.
Still probably a little frustrating.
A little bit. The way I always sort of phrased it was like winning a gold medal in the event you never really practiced for. It's still great,
right? But
it's kind of like, but the one that I love is this thing. Plus, I also had imposter syndrome where I was like, well, they're gonna sniff me out as not being good at writing. And it worked out all right because I have fun with rewriting. Like when someone comes in, Fred comes in with a great character, and then I just do a bad impression of it, then write fun lines for it. Like that I took a great deal of joy from. But yeah, that we came in, and I was already sort of the senior because of my 2 years experience. But I mean, by the time Bill's first show was just killer, then that Christmas, Lazy Sunday, and A-Holes came out, and then, and then Kristen was on fire by then, and then I just sort of was just...
Is it fair to say within the first 6 shows if somebody's got the chops or not?
I don't think so. No.
Unfair.
I'm sorry, yeah, I think it's unfair. Okay. I mean, you could make the argument of just
it's a know when you see it. It's like basketball.
Yeah.
It's like, that guy's good.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I feel like I can... I don't know if I can. 6 weeks. You can usually tell someone's got it, but people settle into this job. It's nerve-wracking. I would, you can't help but play the home game and say, well, if this was my SNL, there should be. Talking about another way to make money, there should be some type of Sims game with SNL where you can kind of fantasy. Like how would you run this team? Who would you get rid of during the summer?
Well, it's like a basketball team. Seth and I have talked about that.
Oh, it's exactly
I feel like
it.
In basketball team, if you have more than a 9 or a 10-man rotation, it's going to be a disaster because everyone's going to want to play.
Absolutely, yeah. You just need those couple guys that are like, this is cool. I get free sneakers. This is great. I love it.
You need the young and up-and-comer, and then you need maybe the old guy on his way down a little bit who's happy to be there in his last.
Absolutely.
It's really like the same dynamic.
You're Crash Davis.
You need the one go-to guy, basically, that you know.
I'm Crash Davis.
You're Crash Davis?
I call it. Can I be Crash Davis? Like in Bull Durham?
I was thinking you're more like it's like a Lamar Odom type thing.
Oh.
I play multiple positions,
but I wanted to have cool monologues like
Crash Davis's thing.
Yeah, and Bull Durham, and make the Susan Sarandon character kind of like crazy, like have her say stuff like "oh my" after I say stuff. Like that's the part you want to be.
You can do that. You can write a movie where that happens.
I don't know if I want a fragrance. Half a fragrance.
What's going on? You're dipping into the movies now, though.
I have been, yeah. Fortunately,
you have a legitimate movie career now. You make movies.
I have, yeah.
You make movies. I see posters.
I know
of the movie. I see ads for them.
Yeah, they're during sports, no less.
Yeah. Tell them about tell the listeners about your schedule for taping that movie.
Oh, for Hall Pass last year?
Yeah.
It was pretty. Yeah. I mean, now I have perspective on it. What I'm about to tell you is like
you're very appreciative of life. Yeah.
But that said. We would do the show on Saturday, and then Sunday I would fly down to Atlanta.
And the show finishes at 1 o'clock on a Saturday night, and you're still wired from being on TV.
I went to the party.
You don't go to bed right away.
No, I would go to the after party for certain, and then every now and then to go to the after party. Because I'd be getting on a plane at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then fly down to Atlanta, 2-hour flight, and then go to the hotel, we get dinner, fall asleep, look at the pages for the days ahead, work Monday, Tuesday, movie schedule, which is very early, getting up at 6, 7 in the morning, and then doing the same scenes over and over. Then Tuesday night, I would fly back to New York. Very fortunately, this leg of the trip, this Tuesday, Wednesday, was a private plane, so I could, listen to my headphones during takeoff, which is all I really like.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I make the distinction. And also the waiting. You don't have to wait through all the security, which is great. So then you fly up to New York. I'd get there probably around, midnight or 1, go home, sleep. Wake up the next day, do the table read, just, read the sketches. We do, read 40 sketches on Wednesday.
Everyone has to be there for the table read.
Yeah, that was Lauren's big thing. It's like, if I'm going to let you do this, I need you here on Wednesday. And the Farrellys were like, what the heck? And I'm like, well, it's a compliment. It's like him knowing that one's ability to read material a certain way can affect if it gets on the show or not, or if it gets a laugh or not. I took it. I agreed with the call and was ready to say no to Hall Pass if they couldn't accommodate it. It's just the way it is. You can't dance with the one that brung you, right? And so then Wednesday night, whenever my last sketch was, if there was 40 sketches and I read my last one at 35, I'd hop up from the table, quietly excuse myself, go to the Teterboro, get on the plane, fly back down to Atlanta, have dinner, fall asleep, look at the material, then fall asleep. Thursday, wake up, movie schedule early in the morning. and then sleep that night. Friday, get on a Delta flight, go straight from Atlanta to LaGuardia, get picked up, go straight to 30 Rock, rehearse the sketches that they moved to Friday, and then do that all day, and then do the show on Saturday, and just repeat that the next week.
And how many weeks in a row was that?
I did it 3 weeks and 3 weeks, so 6 weeks total.
Oof.
Yeah.
Did you get sick?
No.
I would have gotten sick. My body would have broken down. That's how I operate. My body just has enough. Yeah.
We have that a lot at SNL. Like when you do those 3-week runs or 4-week runs, that people will get sick immediately at the first couple of days of their break. But no, I fortunately was. I felt completely fractured emotionally and physically, but never sick. I was just like on fumes and on instinct. And
how much coffee were you drinking?
Not a ton.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't think caffeine really totally affects me. I think I drank too many pops as a kid.
Huh.
Yeah. That's weird. I don't...
Interesting.
Yeah. It makes me...
I thought caffeine was the drug of this decade for SNL.
I tried drinking it. I just don't feel a tremendous effect about it, from it,
So do you think this SNL schedule will always be the same? Just because that's just the way it's always been?
As long as Lauren does it. I mean, everything's the same. Chris Rock came back, and obviously when Dana and John Lovitz, it's all the exact same. Jim Downey, one of the greatest writers ever, has been there since the very first year. It's all the same. The only thing that changes is the technology.
Yeah.
In my time, when you want to play Joe Biden, can I get a tape of Joe Biden? You would literally get a videotape that's been recorded over 1,000 times, and everything was done clips. Now it's like go to the server and click online, and there's your Biden.
It would seem like it would be 1,000 times easier to do the show now with email, YouTube, video files. I can't believe they did it in '75.
Well, I mean, it's not funny anymore. The show's not. If you listen to people, it's not funny anymore. That's probably why. The damn internet.
You guys get that a lot. Yeah. It's for 35 years of it.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's as ubiquitous as the the show itself. It's so funny. Like Lauren's seen. That I love that phrase. You hear coaches say, he's forgotten more about comedy than I'll ever know.
Yeah.
Like that. He's got that. Lauren's one of those guys. So he's seen my type, a dozen times, and not that he's dismissive of it. It's just like he knows he's seen people navigate whatever path, especially in a public life and like doing this stuff for a living. He's seen it all. It's pretty tremendous to have a guy like that.
The other thing that's happened to you.
Yeah.
You became a little bit in the tabloids.
Yeah.
Dating people.
Yeah.
People you're being speculated about.
Yeah.
You got in that mix of dudes that
I know
starts dating,
and those guys are never like. I don't know how people feel about those guys. Yeah, that's a super.
I think how they feel.
Odd thing.
Jealous.
Oh well, that's unwarranted. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's all just people.
The first one was Aniston. Somehow you got into the Aniston merry-go-round of possible maybe boyfriends. They were seen at a dinner. This might have but nobody ever has any hard facts.
Right. Yeah, is that something? Nobody knows anything.
He was at a dinner with her. They're dating.
Who paid the bill? Just get me a signature. Who paid the bill?
Did he feed her?
Yeah, did he feed her popcorn? That's the move now.
So you're in that mix, but then you actually dated January Jones for a while.
Yeah, we dated.
That was a legitimate relationship.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, she's awesome.
Now you're rumored with Scarlett Johansson, which is another one of those. They had a drink.
I think that has. It seems like they really like picking these ladies apart. Whoever these people are.
Entire magazines devoted to them, which my wife reads religiously, by the way.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Why does she read the magazines and not like just look online? Just a little bit easier. She
likes the magazines. She likes sitting on the couch, flipping them. She likes flipping through the pictures. She likes the who wore it better, whatever that page is.
Where loves to get in on that debate, right?
Yeah.
Just who wore it better.
That's what women.
Hey, honey, they got it right.
They got it. Look at that, 88%.
Rihanna wore it better than Jessica Simpson. I agree. I concur.
Let me ask you this though, because Corolla has this theory about
shutting Drew's mic off.
About female celebrities.
Yeah.
That once you date one of them,
right,
it's like joining a club. Now the other ones know it's okay. He's good. He's been vetted.
But isn't that the same thing as
you don't believe that one?
Oh, that makes sense, but it doesn't extend. It extends throughout time and not just celebrity. I mean, isn't that like why
women not just
guys
celebrity
with wedding rings? Because he's been vetted.
That's interesting.
It's the exact same theory that you've heard that before.
Yeah,
haven't you? So I mean,
I don't wear a wedding ring.
You don't?
Yeah, maybe I should.
Yeah,
maybe that would vet me.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's the theory. But I do understand what Dr. Corolla is saying.
It seems like there's some sort of weird.
It's like he can put up with my schedule. He can put up with I don't know.
You did what movie did you do with Aniston?
I did 2. We did
2 of them.
Well, the Bounty Hunter. That's Horrible Bosses that comes out this summer.
That's coming out.
Yeah, like July 8th, I believe.
It's a crazy sex movie.
That one? Not really.
No, there was like rumors there's nakedness.
Her character is overtly sexual. Yeah, she like sexually harasses Charlie Day's character. That's why she's a horrible boss.
Really?
Yeah. It
sounds like an interesting movie.
It is. It's cool. It's an incredible cast. Jason Bateman and I and Charlie each week a new movie star or Oscar winner was coming down the pike. It was crazy. Between that and then getting to do Hall Pass with all these incredible comedy people, Owen and Stephen Merchant and the Farrellys themselves and J.B. Smoove and Larry Joe and that's who I did the majority of my scenes with. It's been really fun, and SNL certainly prepared me to do work while being around people that are creatively very intimidating.
Right.
Not because of anything they're doing, but just because of all the stuff they've done.
I would think it would be a little bit easier to do a movie.
It is. Well, I find it to be easier, but I just mean as far as dealing with people that you're heroes. To just sort of go in there and you get when I see Kobe put Westbrook in a headlock, I'm kind of like that you want to feel like that, and Owen's joking around with you I'm Westbrook and I'm running around like crazy and hustling after everything. I can't believe I'm here. This is great. What and then he's just kind of Owen's Owen Wilson all chilled out.
That is a good thing about the All-Star Game that I really like. I mean, the All-Star Game definitely has some deficiencies. There's no question, especially when it's just certain people who don't give a crap, obviously, and they're just not going to break a sweat. Dwight Howard just was not going to sweat yesterday. Yeah. That was his goal.
Do you think that extends into their a season of their play? Do you extend that metaphor? It's he just doesn't have that killer instinct.
Well, I think
did Jordan give a damn every minute?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you have the guys who are just hyper competitive,
right,
like Jordan and Kobe, where they just want to win.
Right.
Then you have the older guys who they see the big, like the Celtics guys.
Yes.
Like Allen, Pierce, and KG, they see the big picture. They have a 100-game season this year.
Right.
It's not worth it to go all out in this game.
That's so silly, though.
It's the way they have to. They're old. They have to think that way. But then, Duncan's another one. Duncan hasn't cared about the All-Star Game in 8 years. Yeah. All he wants to do is win titles. Golly. The game does nothing. Then you have somebody like Durant, who very kind of secretly probably thinks, I might be better than Kobe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the fourth quarter, Kobe's going for that record.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Durant takes 4 straight shots, makes all of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I felt like Kobe kind of just a tiny bit, just
really?
you MFer.
Yeah. I like
those
that.
Those are my shots. But anyway, so the dynamics are always even something like Rondo and Rose,
mm-hmm,
who are just natural rivals. They
right,
compete on Team USA. Now they're on the same team.
Yeah.
And it's always it doesn't feel, I don't know.
Yeah. I got posed these 2 questions. I did a thing for ESPN a couple days ago with Kevin Hart and Scoop Jackson. They asked me the question.
Oh, yeah, you did the next round.
Yeah. It was great. Those guys are super funny. Kevin's so funny, so quick, and the 3 of us had a blast. And the majority of my NBA knowledge at this point in the league comes from NBA 2K11. It really does. When I did Jimmy Kimmel with Blake Griffin, I'm like, this kid's a hell of a video game player. You want this guy in your video game.
You want to throw him alley-oops.
Yeah, you want just B button all day with that guy. Who would you and people out there may already know this stuff, but I don't, but who point guard you would build your team around right now? Current point guard?
Oof. See, I would have said Chris Paul, but I still don't feel like he's totally healthy.
Yeah.
Although he didn't have the knee brace on yesterday, which I was excited
Showing
about.
Off. We didn't want to have a knee brace on in front of Ciara.
That's true. He saw her, he took it off.
Yeah, he's like, I can't look like a puss.
It's funny, though. All these guys have different strengths and weaknesses. Paul runs the team the best.
Right.
Darren Williams is probably the best two-way. He's a big dude. He's a good defender.
Yeah.
Something maybe a tiny bit missing with him as a leader. I'm not sure.
Right.
Derrick Rose, obviously the most explosive, but not totally a distributor. He's more of a scorer.
Right.
I don't know how fun he'd be to play with.
Yeah.
Would you want to play with him?
He didn't seem like he I don't know. Probably not. I think I'd want to play in Miami. That would remind me of my Kansas City days.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I'd do that in a heartbeat. I mean, who wouldn't? But at the same time, just ride along.
And Westbrook's built like Rose, where he's more of a scorer than a distributor.
Yeah.
I think, you know this, but when you play basketball, you're in one of 2 camps. You're either like, how is everyone else going to help me?
Right.
Or how can I help everyone else? And then you have the guys who vacillate between that depending on the minute.
Right.
And it seems Westbrook, I think, is wired like I'm going to get my points.
I do, yeah.
But they need him to think, you got to also worry about everybody else. So he's constantly balancing that.
He's like the Howard Rourke. He's going to get his, and then very objectivism sort of driven.
Chris Paul is out there like, I want to help everybody be as good as they can be.
Right.
I want to get this guy this spot, exactly the shot that he likes to get.
Would you say that's Magic Johnson?
Yeah,
yeah.
Magic's the all-timer.
Yeah.
All Magic cared about was making everyone better.
Yeah.
And you know, like,
he had a good energy at that game. He was laughing and smiling,
really
having a good time.
He really did.
It was like
Jimmy said he was just sitting there, sitting next to him, just making jokes and trying to make him laugh.
Yeah, that's all I was trying to do with people. Thank God for Rappaport. Rappaport was like Eye of the Tiger, so funny, and his kids were so nice, and I would just be whispering like little jokes to him the whole time. He was mic'd up and doing the whole thing, and he feels very comfortable in that place, and it's like I was just trying to get him going. You
could see like even in something like that, like in the locker room, if guys are getting along and everybody's making jokes. I mean, I decided to coach just because I was curious, like the whole thing. Oh, you gotta say yes, yeah. Because I'm gonna write a column at some point about doing all these different weird things. Like I've hosted PTI, and I announced a basketball game, and so I'm probably gonna do a column about what all of these different experiences were like. Yeah. And it made me think when I was in the locker room. If you're in a team where the guys don't really like each other, there's some weird stuff going on, some weird jealousy, or somebody's banging somebody else's girlfriend. The other guy found out.
And I apologize.
You apologize to
Mitch, Scotty, and Chris. Maybe that's what, and Bill.
Yeah, maybe that's
when I went back, I sniffed around. I've dipped my ink in some of Walton's, or dipped my pen in some of Walton's ink, and I think that might have had something to do with it.
Yeah,
but she called me Yellow Shoes too, so it was. Maybe that's why. That should have been the first indication.
He also, Nick Cannon, he just couldn't.
Yeah.
Who's that again?
You know Nick Cannon?
He just couldn't remember.
And I'm not saying that, like, I mean,
it did make me think how hard it is.
A few times. I figured it was.
It's hard to coach. It made me, just sitting on the bench, it made me think, because I was worried about everybody's minutes, but when you're sitting there and he was trying to work the refs because we weren't getting calls. So he's trying to tell this guy, Scotty wasn't getting back on D and all that, but then he's got to worry about the guys on the bench. Yeah. It did make me think, like, just like I always make fun of basketball coaches. This guy's not doing this guy's not doing that. But
a lot of time management.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot like just with your own time. I mean, like not just the players' time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just sort of went along with it. I even now when I speak about it, it's more. I hope Bill, Coach Walton will understand that it's more like, I just wanted to help you out more.
Yeah.
See what I could have done.
Well, I always make fun of football coaches, and it always amazes me when they screw up something that you would never screw up if we're playing Madden.
Yeah. You would
really? Why don't you just kick a field goal and then try the onside, like stuff like that?
Yeah.
And then just being in the middle of even that, dopey celebrity game, you could see how they'd lose track of, oh crap, we probably should kick the field goal there because you're worried on 9 different things.
We used to have a version of that, like in the improv community. My friend T.J. Jagodowski, one of these amazing performer in Chicago. Whenever someone would be doing an improv show, afterwards you talk to him and go, "It's kind of sitting back by the bar playing the home game. Here's the line." I thought maybe you guys could have taken the scene this way. So we do it all. Yeah, just playing the home game. Like the whole metaphor is like it's easier to play Jeopardy at home. Where you're just kind of sitting on your couch going, bloop, it's this.
I had a friend who was on Jeopardy, I think, in like 1998, my friend Scooter.
Yeah.
And she said she got this question wrong.
That was a curveball.
Yeah,
I had a friend Scooter, and she said...
It was the only female Scooter.
Yeah, this is why people listen to this thing, buddy.
Yeah, it's one of the nuggets. But she was on Jeopardy for a couple days.
Yeah. Oh,
and
nice.
she missed this easy question that she should have gotten.
Right.
And it really ended up, she'd won 2 days in a row, I think, in the third day, and it screwed her up.
Yeah.
And we were like, how could you miss that? And she was like, you don't understand. It's hard. You're out there. There's a million things going on.
Yeah.
And you just, sometimes your brain will freeze.
Yeah.
I think that as fans, we forget that sometimes. No matter what you're doing, there's always a chance you might.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime a receiver, the ball hits him in the hands, it's kind of like, what?
Yeah, what were you thinking?
Come on, millionaire, catch that.
Catch the ball.
Yeah, I'm literally paying, or not paying anything, I guess, if I'm watching on TV, but watch you catch a ball. But yeah, it just, body was turned a weird way. The fact that he even got there should be the most impressive thing.
Yeah.
That his hands touched it at all.
A couple of things left.
Yeah.
Blue Man Group.
Yeah.
That was serious. You really wanted to be.
That was serious.
Group.
Yeah, I think
you
the
were
only
in
reason
on it.
I was really fascinated with that. Was when I was living in Las Vegas. The comedy career had taken me. Got to do Second City in Chicago. Then I moved to Amsterdam to do a thing called Boom Chicago, which Seth maybe have spoken to you about. It's basically a sketch theater there. And then they said they were going to open up a Second City in Las Vegas. And I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. Especially when I heard the cast and this great director Mick Napier. Like it was like this. I was like, that sounds fun. And to know I'll have a paycheck upon a week after returning to the States was good to know. And so that was February 2001. And then somewhere during that, we just became friends with the guys in Blue Man Group and this other show, De La Guardia, which was kind of like a cross between Blue Man Group and like Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
And we'd go. They had already been there for a year in this desert. They carved a little niche out for themselves as like artists off the strip, where they would do like these interesting shows, because those guys are all in the band. They're all like Berkeley trained musicians, and they're playing the same notes every night that their brains are just going crazy.
Yeah.
So it was like this very, very exciting group of folks and musicians. And the show, I love that show. I think it's super funny, really intelligent. I also thought at that point I wanted to be, the phrase that I came up with was like silent and anonymous. I was really frustrated with Second City at that point, and probably frustrated mostly with myself within Second City, knowing what I know now. And I just wanted to do something else, and so that was where I literally went through my blue period, where I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And I find, I've seen that metaphor, like, in different scripts that I've read or other stories I've heard, like, someone passes away in your life, and then the person just wants to build a boat, and that's what they get into. I was, like, sort of dying, like, on, like, the comedy vine, I felt, and I wanted to do something else. I also knew it would probably be the only time I'd ever in a million years get to play music on stage in front of people, because I'm not a musician at all, but they play those interesting things. And I can drum okay. Nowhere near as strong as I needed to be at the moment I was auditioning for the show, but it's something you can learn fairly quickly.
So it came pretty close to happening.
Came real close. I got flown out there out to New York, from Las Vegas for the callback, and got to see myself bald and blue. And I talked about this on Kimmel, and it was when I looked at the dudes that were in the show, they were all like these super cool guys, and they all had like these kick-ass like faces. You think like just like Cillian Murphy, from like they looked cool. They looked like kick-ass, like almost like superheroes.
Yeah.
When you put me in that make me bald and like blue, I just look like I was saying, a peanut M&M. Like my face isn't the same as those guys.
So you think the face is a part of the success or failure of the Blue Man Group?
I think in the eyes, the way because you can't say anything. You can only,
Yeah.
I mean,
that's interesting.
With the timing that they have and the interaction between the three. Yeah, there's a lot going on up there. Has
there ever been a black Blue Man Group member?
Yeah, there's been a lady too.
Really?
Yeah, there absolutely has. Yeah, I knew that they were working for them. I'm certain there's been more since then, since this was 2001. But yeah, so I really went for it. And then after seeing myself bald and blue, it was almost like, okay, the Make-A-Wish is like, it wasn't completely that reason. I still had to work on my drumming and everything. And then I came back to Second City, and then truly what happened was 9/11 happened, and then the cast, it was like this rotating cast of, you talk about a big rotation. We had 9 people doing a 5-person show, and so it was really, and it's not because of any one individual or anything like that. It was just, when 9 people are doing, you're constantly feeling like an understudy. There's no fluidity. You're not used to playing or performing any specific parts. You're constantly, like, it was making the show real shaggy.
Yeah.
And then after 9/11, they narrowed the cast down to 5. And then it surprisingly got really, really good. Or
basketball
unsurprisingly.
Analogy.
Absolutely, yeah. It got great. And then people actually, the word of mouth started going around the city, and we started filling up this theater, which we were only getting, 50 people. We started selling out at 200. Wow. And then all the love for the game came back, and Blue Man was something that I love going to see still to this day. And if there's someone that hasn't seen it, I'll always tag along.
It's great.
Yeah. And it was my blue period.
What about your mustache last year?
Yeah, that was
what kind of mileage you get out of that? How did it change your life? You had a great mustache.
Thank you.
Really good.
It was
right out of like a 70s baseball card.
It was, it absolutely was. No, totally, yeah. We even made a joke about that in Going the Distance, where it's like, what is that for? The 1983 Yankees bullpen? Like, why are you growing that? That was all done because I did it for 2 movies, and it was actually 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
It was the Aniston movie, because I was supposed to play this like goofy guy that had a crush on her, who was a little out of his gourd, and I was kind of like, I showed up on set. They told me to shave. They told me to be clean shaven. I had a full beard, and I was in KC for Father's Day, and the head of this British woman called. She was the makeup lady. She's like, I saw in your wardrobe test that you had a beard. We have a lot of facial hair in this movie. If you could please just show up clean shaven. I was like, okay. So then as I'm doing it, I was like, but I don't want to do that part clean shaven. Like I don't want Jennifer Aniston's character to not be into me as a clean shaven version of myself.
Yeah, you're just
it's the best I got.
Yeah.
It's the bit, like I gotta help somehow. And it also helped with the character. So I was like, well, this guy has some delusion of grandeur, thinking this gal likes him. Well, then he probably thought a mustache. So then I created a backstory, and I am exhausted. I show up into Atlantic City where we were filming a red-eye flight, go straight to set, show up with this mustache. I haven't met the director. I haven't met the producers. I've only spoken to this woman who said, will you shave your mustache? And I said yes. So I show up there with the story being like, okay, here's the way I'm thinking. Stuart is a guy who's had a crush on Jen's character. I believe her name was Nicole in the movie, on Nicole. The backstory is we refer to this party at Christmas where she makes out with me. I take it back a couple months before where there was a Halloween party and I dressed up like Magnum P.I. with a fake mustache.
Oh.
She got drunk that time and told me I looked like a poor man's Kevin Kline and kind of flirted with me. All right. So in my head, I was like, well, now I have to grow a real mustache. Then I grow the mustache and she kisses me at the Christmas party. I should keep this mustache. And then that was
put a lot of thought into that.
I totally did. And Andy Tennant and the producer Wink, they were both like, all right. And then bless her heart, and this was not what I was thinking at all, but then the British woman, the makeup who they hired to watch the whole department, everybody's face there goes, and besides, if he didn't have that mustache, I think he'd be too handsome and nobody would believe it.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, that's real nice. Yeah, what she
nice.
said. Super nice. And so I got to keep the mustache. Then there was the crossfade where I auditioned for this Going the Distance, and they had heard, New Line had heard I had a mustache, so I was offered the part, but then had to go in and meet the director, and she had to take a picture of me with this mustache, and I almost didn't get it because of it. And I was like, okay, fine, like I can't shave it because it's already established, continuity-wise in this other movie. And I was like, what do I do for a living? My character, like, you work at a record label. I was like, okay, then I'm like a hipster, like with growing an ironic mustache. And I said to Nanette, I was like, I guarantee you, much like Martin Starr's beard and Knocked Up, like it'll come up. Like when you have myself and Charlie Day and Justin Long, two extremely funny, like natural guys that just can just riff, and we're gonna play friends. We are friends. It'll come up somehow in the movie, and it'll work out. I guarantee you that. But I can't shave it. If you don't want me to be in the movie with it, then I can't be in the movie. And then sure enough, there's like a scene in the movie where the three of us are discussing the mustache, and then it's even called back later in the movie when we had to do pickup shots. They spent $500,000, and all the guys had mustaches in the scene. Like it was kind of this thing that almost kept me. So it's one of those nice things that bless their hearts. All the people at New Line who I've worked with several times. They did Hall Pass and those Horrible Bosses. They were accommodating to it, and we all kind of laugh about it now. But and
then when you played Frida, you also kept the
absolutely.
mustache.
Well, I played on stage. Yeah, one woman show. Frida was people came for the breast, and they just weren't the same when I played her. Just not the same. Oh, well, what do you do?
You didn't have what Hayek brought to the table.
But that's the long-winded mustache story. And then in real life, I'd forget that I have it all the time, and people would kind of catch me. It worked out when I just grew it.
It was awesome.
It was like when I was clean shaven, it was ridiculous. With the mustache clean shaven, when I had a little bit of beard, it's kind of like it actually looks okay. Yeah. But yeah, it is full on. It is full on relief picture.
It's funny how the mustache has come along over the years, and now it's like it's fully ironic, but yet people also kind of like having
Forte's growing one now.
Forte had one.
Forte,
we saw it yesterday.
Forte and mustaches are like equal comedy.
His was kind of awesome. I liked it.
We are always John Bovey, like the P. Twinkle and Greg Stink, the ESPN guys that we do.
Yes.
Always mustaches. Like it just helps. Farrell really kind of ushered that in. Like the whole Anchorman world. Like mustaches are great, and we don't get to, as fellas, we don't get makeup or accessories like the gals used to get to play with, or cleavage. We get facial hair, and so we've used it.
How did you come up with Pete Twinkle and Greg Stink?
That was an idea I had for. It was initially going to be Megan. It was for the Megan Fox show. I remember coming and going, we should have Kristen and Megan Fox be like billiards players. Like she could dress up as like the Black Widow. Megan Fox and Kristen will come up with something. Let her come up with it because she's great at that. And then the way it really happened was I'm writing with my friend John Lutz, who is on 30 Rock and used to write for SNL, and we start writing it on the server. And the whole premise was going to be like showcasing the gals, like showcasing them preparing to play pool, but they were never going to get to it. They would be screwing together their cues, like, and it'd be like 80 pieces. You know, it was all that stuff that's still in there, but that was where the comedy was going to come from. And so I knew it was going to be ladies sports. Forte and I were going to be, the sports announcers. We're typing it. We get about 2 pages in, and the computer freezes. And, at this point, even though it's 2 pages, you sort of have a tendency to hem and haw, especially when you're creating something for the first time, of like, should we open on this, open on that? So it took about an hour. So then it freezes up. We're like, we see if we can save it. We didn't save the file yet. We bring in the IT guy. It's gone. Lutz and I are like, are you kidding me? Like, damn it. And not that it was anywhere near the shape it was going to be in. So Lutz goes to the bathroom. You kind of have this thing. It's like, okay, go to the bathroom. When you come back, I'm going to be back to 2 pages. We're going to be right back where we start. I'm just going to, from memory, jam it through. And then I remember sitting down there and making it the Vagisil. Like, this is a joke to make Lutz laugh. Like, the Vagisil, whatever, Vagisil...
1990.
Yeah, whatever it was, 1991. And then the rhymes came out of nowhere. Oh, you got a visitor.
Yeah.
In the second podcast, second guest, and the musical act. And then at some point the rhymes sort of came through, like me just, like, I can't remember exactly where it
just went from there.
It just went from there, but it was because of the accent that the badge still got.
Come up with Greg Stink, though.
The name?
Yeah.
I don't know.
One of the great names.
Yeah, Pete Twinkle, and so we call him Twink and the Stink. Yeah, Greg Stink. Well, we'd had names for the John Bovey guys that never got out there. It was always fun coming up with names, and Lutz is great with names.
ESPN Classic was showing these celebrity bowling things from like 1975,
Sounds
76.
Great. Yeah. I wish they did that stuff still.
It's amazing. You can't do it now because
insurance.
In the mid-70s, nobody was self-aware. They just didn't know. That's what made the first Battle of the Network Stars so fantastic.
Yeah.
They didn't realize that they were blowhards or whatever.
Remember game shows? Like, I'd love to play Password.
You know what? Reality shows killed it.
Yeah.
Reality shows killed game shows because game shows was our only way to experience the reality of
winning and losing outside of sports.
Whoever the celebrity is. Yeah. And now it's like reality shows, we can dive into them. Khloe Kardashian.
Right.
30 years ago, she's on Password.
That's true.
And people would be like, what? Who?
It's Khloe Kardashian. She's really good at giving clues. Horrible guesser.
Last thing, I'm not getting the doorbell.
Yeah. Maybe they're not listening to this now because you're recording this.
I hope it's not the police.
They know we're here.
Make your case in 30 seconds for Kansas City to have an NBA team.
I can't.
You can't?
I mean...
That's why they're not going to get one, isn't it? Because Connor couldn't either.
I mean, we have such great college hoops just surrounding us.
NBA's never going to win, and they're never going to beat up college.
Oklahoma City's right there. I mean, it would take a star player. It would have to be like Pele with the Cosmos, back in the early.
Like Durant in Oklahoma City, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But we would need someone, not an up and comer. It would have to be. Remember that, one in a million or one time in a million. The whole Cosmos.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
I feel like that's the way we would get roped in, like we tried with Joe Montana with the Chiefs. Like we kind of get someone on the way down, but it's like, hey, are you gonna go see Bird?
Bird now he's 50.
He shoots while he's laying down. He still shoots 40%. It's impressive. It's not what he used to do, but it's good.
I think Charlotte's a good example of a team that tried to make it in a college hotbed, but they never got that player like you're talking about.
It's an amazing city, and when Kansas City, the thing that I'm so proud of, I went to go see a Foo Fighters concert recently, and the last time I saw the Foo Fighters in concert was in Kansas City. We're so appreciative when something comes from there, and I'm certainly a product of it, because it'll so many times it'll go from Denver, whatever this tour, whatever this fun thing is, go from Denver to St. Louis or Chicago, just miss us completely, and we're just like, gosh, we're not. I like that there's not an overall arrogance of like, well, screw you then. It's like, no, we'll buy your album still. We're going to buy it and be super excited when you finally do show up. And so I think that the enthusiasm for anything is there, but my guess would be it would take the hook of a star. That's why the Sprint Center. We open up the Sprint Center. And we have Garth Brooks there out of retirement for nine shows in a row or whatever it was. That's the way we got to open things. We got to open big.
What I don't get is, it sounds like they just need an ownership group because they have the building.
Yeah, you mentioned that last
built
night.
It, right.
Yeah. It's an amazing building.
If I'm random rich Kansas City dude who's worth like $2 billion.
Right.
And I'm 53.
Okay,
and I'm living in Kansas City, and I have my wife. I got 2 kids in college, and I got the one kid who's a little older but still living at home, and he's waitering.
He's finding his way.
He's waitering.
Yeah, he's waitering. And I tell you what, though, incredible harmonica player.
Really good. He might be able to do it professionally.
Yeah.
That guy should buy the team.
Well, if he's listening.
He's a hero in Kansas City.
Absolutely.
He's like, hey, that's the guy who brought basketball to Kansas City. Like Clay Bennett in Oklahoma City, even though everybody in Seattle wants him to die, in Oklahoma City he's a hero. He brought them a team.
Yeah.
You'd think there would be some rich guy in Kansas City who would want to be that guy.
Yeah. You would think, yeah. I don't know who.
Well, hopefully he's listening.
We can only assume.
Jason Sudeikis. Hall Pass comes out on Friday.
Yeah.
I've not seen it.
I think you'll like it. I think it's really funny.
I hope I like it.
Yeah.
I like you.
Well, I'm in it.
I like the commercials.
That's a good start.
It'll be good. I like the premise.
Yeah.
The Farrelly brothers don't like me.
Well, you know.
Maybe we'll iron that out. They're very mad about they're still mad about my Fever Pitch review in 2004.
I'd be curious to know if they still carry that. When's the last time you heard
They did.
Them?
They took some shots at me in a magazine.
How recent?
About a month ago.
No, really?
Oh, yeah. They called me the D word.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They blame me for...
Are you not allowed to say that on here, or your kids listen? Because I definitely have thrown some S-bombs around.
Oh, we're going to bleep them.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Listen, I didn't like Fever Pitch. I love some of their other movies.
Do you think you would have given Fever Pitch a try? I know you love the book. Like, do you think even making the extension, I think I asked you this the other day, the Arsenal, Red Sox, like that all tracked for you? You don't think that they got screwed by the just, I mean, what are the odds that is finally the year that they win? The World Series.
No, I just felt like if you're going to do a Red Sox movie, it's got to be authentic. And we've seen that with The Town and with
Good Will
The
Hunting.
Fighter and Good Will Hunting. It's got to feel like Boston. That was like a Hollywood version of Boston. I think just because those guys are from Rhode Island, I think that's what was disappointing.
Gotcha.
But you know what? I'm surprised that they were still harboring credit.
I want to bridge this
Maybe
gap.
this podcast will help.
I'm thinking just the fact that we're even talking about it, and you can tell in the tone of your voice that you're not wearing this as like. There's some people when they hate you, you kind of like it. Farrelly brothers aren't.
Well, nobody likes New England on New England crime.
Yeah, right.
Just in general,
it
would be like Missouri on Missouri crime.
Yeah, which happens all the time. Watch Cops. It's all over the place.
I stand by my review. With that said,
but
if I like this movie, I'd write that I like this movie.
I like that.
My wife liked your Drew Barrymore movie. I didn't see it.
Going the Distance?
Yeah.
I think that thing is a lot funnier than people. A lot more people.
And she's a discerning audience with the chick flicks.
Yeah.
I mean, she'll watch all of them.
Yeah. That's good.
But she liked that one, though.
I'm going to tell her thank you.
All right.
I liked it, too.
Jason Sudeikis. And then SNL. So what's your next thing?
We got, SNL, and then...
you doing another movie this summer?
Yeah, I haven't decided yet. I don't know. I mean, not that I have a bunch
decided
of choices.
at all.
No, well, I mean, there are a couple different things, but nothing. We'll see how Hall Pass does. I maybe should snag one before it comes out. Who knows?
Maybe you need like a weird, creepy, erotic thriller. You're like a cop. You're divorced.
Yeah.
Some woman shows up at your door.
I love it. We don't know who. We don't know till page 50. Our relationship, just little clues as it goes.
Turns out you knew her from the past.
Gosh darn it! I should have thought of that. Yeah. Grow the mustache again.
Bring it back. Yeah.
It'll be great.
Maybe a little like chin thing. Too.
Do it in Boston. Talk like right. Yeah. This is my Boston accent. I don't know.
For some reason there's been a Boston movie run, but Chicago is being ignored, and so is San Francisco.
Yeah. Probably tax credits.
Yeah, it's weird. That must be what it is. Jason Sudeikis, February 25th, Hall Pass. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Absolutely.
It was about
Thanks for
time
having
we did it.
I know. I'm glad it finally came around. I like doing it this way, face to face. So I can see
it.
All
right. Talk to you soon.
So I get to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.